The sky of the alien world was dark like burnt metal, and heavy storm clouds rolled across the horizon. Sharp winds cut through the rocky cliffs, carrying the sound of distant thunder. On the highest cliff stood a young alien woman named Lyra, her small body shaking as she held her newborn baby close to her chest. Her eyes were full of fear, sadness, and exhaustion. She had not eaten in 2 days. She had no shelter, no money, and no hope. Lyra looked down at her tiny child. His skin glowed with a faint, soft blue light, a sign that he was weak and hungry. She whispered, "I am sorry. I cannot protect you. I cannot give you anything." Her voice cracked like dry leaves breaking under pressure. Her world had fallen apart faster than any storm. Her species was at war, and their society believed in strength above everything. Mothers who had no resources, no support, and no status were abandoned. Children born weak were considered a burden. Lyra had begged for help from her own people, but every door was closed to her. Every voice told her the same cruel message: your baby will not survive. It is better to end it now. Those words followed her every hour, echoing inside her mind. Now she stood on the cliff, shaking, trying to stop her tears. The ground beneath her feet was wet and slippery. She looked at the endless drop below. The violent waves smashed against the rocks far below, creating a sound like the planet itself was crying. "I have nothing left," she whispered. "No money, no home, no future for my baby. Maybe ending it is better than watching him suffer." She took a small step forward. Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting up her face for a brief moment, a face filled with pain. Her baby made a soft sound, but it only made Lyra cry harder. She closed her eyes, preparing herself for the final step. But at that exact moment, fate took a strange turn. Above the storm clouds, a bright red streak cut through the sky. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't a star. It was something falling fast. The burning object roared as it tore through the atmosphere. Lyra opened her eyes and looked up, confused. A crash shook the ground behind her. A small human starship smashed into the rocky surface, sliding across the cliff and finally stopping a short distance away. Smoke rose from the damaged ship. Sparks jumped from broken wires. The crash had sent glowing metal pieces flying everywhere. Lyra stepped back, frightened. Her species told stories about humans, violent, dangerous, unpredictable creatures who would betray anyone. She hugged her baby tightly and tried to move away. The ship's side door burst open with a loud hiss, and a human man stumbled out, coughing. His name was Ethan, an explorer traveling alone. His suit was torn, his arm was bleeding, and he was clearly in pain. But when he lifted his head, his eyes locked onto Lyra, standing dangerously close to the cliff edge. For a moment, Ethan froze. He thought she was being attacked by something behind her. But then he saw the way she was leaning, the way the wind pushed her, the way she held the baby so tightly. Realization hit him like another crash. She wasn't standing there by accident, he didn't think. He just ran. "Wait. Stop." He shouted. Lyra stepped back, startled. She lost her balance. Her foot slipped on the wet rock, and the cliff cracked under her weight. The ground broke, and she screamed. Her baby cried loudly as both of them began to fall. Ethan threw himself forward with all his strength. He slid across the ground, grabbing her arm at the last possible second. The force almost pulled him over the cliff too, but he dug his other hand into the sharp rocks. Holding on with everything he had. "Hold on," he yelled. Lyra stared at him in shock. She could not understand why a human would risk his life for her. The wind whipped around them. Rocks fell into the dark sea below. Ethan's grip trembled, but he did not let go. "Don't let go," he said through clenched teeth. For the first time in days. Lyra felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hoped *. Ethan's muscles burned as he held Lyra's arm. The storm wind hit him from every side, pushing him closer to the edge. Lyra dangled helplessly, her baby pressed tightly against her chest, crying in fear. Rocks continued to fall beneath them, disappearing into the violent ocean below. Every second felt like a battle against gravity. "Pull yourself up," Ethan said, his voice shaking but steady. I cannot," Lyra whispered. Her hands trembled, her strength was fading, and her body felt too weak after days without food or rest. Double quotes, "Yes, you can. Look at your baby. Fight for him," Ethan shouted. Lyra looked at her child's glowing blue skin. His little eyes were squeezed shut in terror. Something inside her shifted. She no longer wanted to fall. She wanted to live for him with the last strength in her body. She reached up with one hand and grabbed Ethan's sleeve. "That's it. Come on," he said, using all his remaining energy. Ethan pulled her upward, inch by inch, until she finally reached the edge. He wrapped an arm around her back and dragged her away from the cliff. Just before another piece of rock broke off and fell into the sea, both of them collapsed on the ground, breathing heavily. For a long moment, only the sound of the storm filled the air. Lyra kept her eyes on the ground. She couldn't look at the human who saved her. In her world, she had been treated like she was nothing. But this stranger, this human, risked his own life to grab her hand. Why? Ethan sat up slowly, wincing as he touched the cut on his arm. Blood soaked into his torn suit. He turned his head toward Lyra and asked softly, "Are you hurt?" Lyra didn't answer. She didn't know what to say. Her species taught her that humans were selfish, violent, and dangerous. But this one was asking about her injuries, not his own. Ethan noticed her shaking. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe now." Safe. She hadn't heard that word in a long time. The baby let out a weak cry. Ethan immediately took a small nutritional pouch from his emergency belt. It wasn't much, but it was enough to help a starving child. "Here," he said. Lyra panicked. "No human food will harm him." "It won't," Ethan replied, keeping his voice calm. "It is universal emergency nutrition, safe for almost every species." He opened the pouch and carefully touched a drop to the baby's lips. The baby sucked on it eagerly. Lyra stared in disbelief. Her own people refused to give her any food for him. They turned her away. They called her child a mistake. But this stranger, this human, fed her baby without hesitation. She felt tears forming again. But not from despair this time. Ethan watched her eyes soften, and he spoke gently. "What is your name?" She hesitated before answering. "Lyra, and your baby." "Aaron," she whispered. Ethan smiled faintly. "Aaron is strong. He fought to stay alive. He deserves a chance." Something inside Lyra cracked open. She was not ready to trust a human, but she could not deny what she saw. He helped them. He cared. He protected them without knowing who they were. Ethan looked around at the stormy landscape. "We can't stay here. My ship is damaged, the weather is getting worse, and this area is dangerous." Lyra's heart dropped. Dangerous. She knew exactly what he meant. "My people. They are searching for me." Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly, but not with fear, more like he was preparing for a challenge. "Why? You're a mother with a newborn. Why would they chase you?" Lyra held Aaron close. Her voice trembled as she answered, "Because they believe he should not exist." Ethan froze. "What? Why?" "He was born weak. They say he will not survive long, and they say I am unfit to raise him. I have no money, no family, no support. They want to take him from me." Ethan clenched his fist. His eyes filled with anger. not at Lyra, but at the cruelty she described. No child deserves that. And no mother should be hunted for trying to protect her baby. Thunder boomed across the sky. Ethan stood up slowly and offered her his hand. "Come on, you're not alone anymore." Lyra stared at his hand, unsure if she should touch it. But then she looked at Aaron, his tiny fingers gripping her clothes as if begging her to choose life. She took Ethan's hand as he helped her stand. Something changed in the air. It was not the storm. It was not the danger. It was something deeper, something human, Ethan said quietly. "I don't know who wants to harm you, but they'll have to go through me first." Lyra felt her heart beat faster. For the first time, she believed she might survive this night. For the first time, she believed someone might fight for her. Ethan led Lyra away from the cliff, moving carefully through the storm. Rain hit his face like small stones. The ground trembled with every thunderstrike. His injured arm throbbed, but he didn't slow down. Lyra walked beside him, holding baby Aaron close to her chest. Her steps weak but determined. They reached a small rocky overhang and natural shelter. Ethan guided her inside. "It's not much," he said, catching his breath, "but we can rest here until the storm calms." Lyra sat down slowly, her legs shaking from exhaustion. She looked at Ethan as if seeing him for the first time. A human someone she was taught to fear was now her only protector. Ethan checked his wrist device. Tapping the cracked screen. "The ship's beacon is damaged. No signal going out. Rescue might take time." Lyra's eyes widened. "Time is something I do not have. We do not have." She looked down at Aaron, who was now asleep, his small chest rising and falling softly. Ethan sat across from her. "Why exactly are your people hunting you? Is it only because you have no money?" Lyra shook her head slowly. "No, it is more than that." Her voice was soft, almost afraid of the truth she was about to share. "In my world," she began, "a child must show strength from the moment he is born. Aaron was born weak. He glows because he is sick. They say he will not survive. That he is a waste of resources." Ethan frowned deeply. "He's a baby. Babies are supposed to be weak. Not in my culture," Lyra said. "Weakness is shame. Weakness must be removed." Ethan clenched his jaw. "That's cruel." Lyra lowered her head. "To them, it is normal. They believe ending him early is a mercy. I refuse to allow it. So they called me a danger, an enemy. And they took everything from me." Her voice cracked. "I had no money because they banned me from working. I lost my home. No one could help me. They fear punishment if they do." Ethan listened silently, his eyes filled with anger not at her, but at the society that treated her this way. "You did the right thing," he said firmly. "You fought for your child. That's not weakness. That's strength." Lyra looked up at him with surprise. No one had ever said those words to her before. "How can you say that?" she asked quietly. "Your people do not know me." "Maybe," Ethan replied. "But I know what it means to protect someone who can't protect themselves." The storm outside grew louder. But inside the small shelter, the tension softened. Lyra felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: safety. But this peace didn't last long. A sharp beeping sound came from Ethan's suit. He checked the small screen and his face hardened. "What is it?" Lyra asked. "Movement," Ethan said, "close by. Not animals. Too organized." Lyra's heart stopped. "They found me." Ethan didn't panic. Instead, he stood, tightening a strap on his broken armor. "How many soldiers does your group send for someone like you?" 3, maybe 4. Lyra whispered. Ethan nodded. "Then I need to prepare." He grabbed a small multi-tool from his belt, a weak weapon, but better than nothing. His ship's power cell was damaged, so most of his gadgets were useless. Still, Ethan moved with confidence. Lyra watched him in silence. "Why do you help me?" she finally asked. "We are strangers, and I am not even human." Ethan turned toward her. Rainwater dripped from his hair, and his expression was calm but serious. "You were going to fall," he said. "Anyone would help." "No," Lyra said. "My people would not help a stranger on a cliff." Ethan's voice softened. "Then your people are missing something important." "What is that?" she asked. "Humanity," he said. Lyra didn't understand the word fully, but she felt its weight. It sounded like something strong, something kind. A distant metallic sound echoed through the storm. Lyra tensed. It was the sound of alien armor moving across rocks. "They are coming," she whispered. Ethan knelt beside her. "Listen carefully. Stay here. Stay low. Protect Aaron. But no arguments," he said. "I made a promise." Lyra felt a strange warmth in her chest. This man, injured and alone, was willing to fight soldiers from another species just to protect her and her baby. "You will die," she whispered. Ethan gave a small smile. "Maybe, but not before I try." He stepped out into the storm, his silhouette outlined by lightning. Lyra hugged Aaron tightly, her entire body trembling with fear. Outside, Ethan took a deep breath. Rain hit his face. Wind roared around him. He whispered to himself, "Come on then. If you want them, you'll have to go through me." And with that, the first shadowy figures appeared through the fog. The danger was real. The fight was coming, and a single human was ready to stand against an entire alien society. Asterisk rain hit Ethan's face like ice. But he didn't back away. He stood at the entrance of the shelter as shadowy figures moved through the storm. Their armor reflected flashes of lightning, their steps heavy and steady. These were not simple hunters. These were trained alien soldiers sent for one purpose: to find Lyra. To take the child, Ethan gripped his weak multi-tool weapon and whispered to himself, "Just hold them back. Give them time to escape." But he didn't know how long he could last. He was injured, tired, and alone. Yet he refused to step aside. The first soldier appeared clearly through the fog. His tall frame was covered in dark armor, glowing symbols on his chest. He held a shock lance that hummed with deadly energy. "Human," the soldier said in a cold voice. "Move away. This does not concern your kind." Ethan wiped rain out of his eyes. "Everything concerns me when a mother and newborn are in danger." Lightning cracked overhead. The soldier tilted his head. "She is a criminal. The child is defective. Their survival breaks our law." Ethan stepped forward. "Your law is wrong." Behind him, inside the shelter, Lyra's heart hammered against her chest. She heard every word. She clutched Aaron tightly and whispered, "Please, please survive." The soldier raised his weapon. "You protect them. Then you join them." He lunged Atha. Ethan dodged to the side. The shock lance slammed into the ground where he had stood, sending sparks flying. Ethan rolled across the wet rocks and struck the soldier's knee with his multi-tool. It barely dented the armor, but it slowed the alien for a moment. Another soldier stepped out of the fog. Then, another. 3 of them. Just like Lyra warned. Ethan backed up slowly, his breathing rough. "Okay, tough crowd." The soldiers surrounded him. One raised his arm and aimed a stun bolt at Ethan's chest. But before they fired, a deafening roar echoed across the cliffs. A massive creature, a storm beast, emerged from the swirling mist. Its body was huge and covered with spiked fur. It hated noise and movement. And the soldiers' armor lights had attracted it. The alien soldiers turned toward the creature. Ethan didn't waste the chance. He ran. He sprinted inside the shelter, grabbed Lyra's arm, and said, "We move." Now, Lyra stood quickly, holding Aaron close. But the soldier's storm beast is keeping them busy. "We have to go before it chooses us next." Without waiting for her answer, Ethan led the way across the rocky path. Rain poured harder, turning the ground slippery. Lyra struggled to keep her balance, but Ethan held her hand tightly. "Stay close," he said. "Don't fall behind." Lyra nodded, breathless. "Where are we going?" "To the mountains," Ethan said. "There's a cave system. If we reach it, we can hide until morning." Aaron whimpered softly. His tiny light flickered weakly. Lyra held him even tighter. "Please stay strong, my baby, please." Ethan glanced over his shoulder. "He'll make it. I promise." But he didn't say what he feared. His supplies were almost gone. They ran as thunder roared all around them. The path narrowed, forcing them to move single file. Below them, the cliffs dropped into darkness. At one point, the wind blew so hard that Lyra nearly slipped. Ethan grabbed her waist and pulled her back. "Careful," he shouted. "One wrong step, and it's over." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but she kept moving. "I am trying. I am just so tired." "I know," Ethan said, helping her steady herself. "But we keep going. We don't stop." They reached a broken bridge made of old metal plates. The storm had rusted it badly. Lyra stared at it with fear. "We cannot cross this." "We have to," Ethan said. "I'll go first." He tested the first plank. It groaned under his weight, but it held. Slowly, he crossed to the other side. "Your turn," he called. Lyra swallowed hard. "If the bridge breaks, I'll catch you," Ethan said. "Trust me." Taking a deep breath, Lyra stepped onto the bridge. It shook under her feet. She moved carefully, one step at a time. Aaron cried softly in her arms. Halfway across, lightning struck nearby, and the metal plates vibrated. "Just keep coming." Ethan shouted. Lyra's legs trembled, but she pushed on until she reached him. Ethan grabbed her hand and pulled her safely to the other side. "You did great," he said. For a moment, Lyra looked at him with something close to awe. "I would be dead many times, if not for you." Ethan gave a tired smile. "Let's keep it that way." As they continued up the mountain path, the storm slowly began to weaken. The thunder grew distant. The wind softened, but despite the calmer weather, danger was still behind them, far below. The alien soldiers finally defeated the storm beast. They looked up the mountain, and they saw footprints leading away. One soldier spoke into a communicator. "Target is moving. Pursue immediately." Tia. The hunt was far from over. But for now, Lyra and her child had one thing they never had before: a human willing to fight for them. Ethan and Lyra reached a narrow mountain ridge just as the storm began to fade. The sky was still dark, but the heavy rain had slowed to a gentle drizzle. Mist curled around the sharp rocks, giving the world a ghostly, silent look. Only Aaron's small, tired breaths broke the quiet. Ethan looked back down the mountain. He could see faint lights moving through the fog armor lights. The alien soldiers were still following. "They're close," he said quietly. "We need to keep moving." Lyra held Aaron tightly. "How far is the cave you spoke of?" "Not far," Ethan replied. "Just past the ridge." "A few minutes." But even as he said the words, he could see the truth in Lyra's eyes. She was exhausted. Her legs trembled with each step. Aaron was growing weaker, his glow dim. And Ethan himself was injured, his arm bleeding, his suit failing. Time was running out. They reached the last stretch of the ridge, a narrow stone path with steep drops on both sides. Ethan stepped forward first, testing the ground. "It's safe," he said, turning to help Lyra. But before she could follow, a loud metallic click echoed through the mist. Ethan froze. A shadow stepped out from the fog behind. Lyra, then another, then a third. The alien soldiers had climbed the mountain faster than expected, cutting off their escape path from behind. Lyra gasped and stepped backward, nearly slipping on the wet stone. Ethan moved to shield her and Aaron. The lead soldier, taller than the others, raised his shock lance. His armor glowed with red markings, showing higher rank. "End of the path, human," the soldier said. "Stand aside." Ethan positioned himself between Lyra and the soldiers, refusing to move. His breathing was rough, but his voice was steady. "Not happening." The soldier tilted his head. "You cannot win. Move, and you may survive." Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm not leaving them." Behind him, Lyra whispered, "Ethan, please, you cannot fight them." "I can slow them down," he whispered back. "Long enough for you to get away." Another soldier spoke, his voice cold. "She will not escape. This is her fate." Lyra hugged Aaron so tightly that her knuckles turned pale. The baby whimpered softly, sensing danger. The lead soldier took one step forward. "Give us the child." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Over my dead body, that can be arranged." The soldiers spread out, forming a half circle. Their glowing weapons lit the mist like ghosts rising from the ground. Ethan lifted his weak, multi-tool weapon. He knew it was no match for armored soldiers. But he stood tall anyway. "You have no idea what humans can do when someone innocent is threatened," he said. Lightning flashed behind him, making his silhouette look bigger, stronger. The lead soldier raised his arm to fire, but a loud cracking sound shook the ridge. Everyone froze. The narrow mountain path under Ethan's feet trembled. Small stones began rolling off the edge. A long fracture opened across the ridge, splitting it like dry wood. Ethan realized what was happening. The storm had weakened the mountain. One more heavy movement, and the whole path might collapse. The soldiers didn't step back. Their orders were clear. Ethan moved slowly, trying not to break the ridge more. He whispered to Lyra, "We can't fight them here. If the ridge falls with us on it." Lyra nodded, understanding instantly. "The cave? It's close." The lead soldier stepped forward again, sending a vibration through the ground. The crack widened. Ethan raised his voice. "If you come closer, we all fall." "We are prepared to do what must be done," the soldier replied. Ethan knew he was cornered. He couldn't move forward because Lyra stood behind him. He couldn't move back because soldiers blocked the path. Then he made a quick decision. "Lyra," he whispered urgently, "when I say run, run to the left. There's nothing on the left." Lyra whispered, "Only a wall of rock." "Trust me," Ethan said. The soldiers raised their weapons. Ethan looked at Lyra and mouthed, "Now." He slammed his foot down hard on the weak crack. The entire ridge shook violently, a huge chunk of the path behind. The soldiers gave way. They stumbled as rocks collapsed under them. The shock caught them off guard. "Run!" Ethan shouted. Lyra sprinted to the left, hugging Aaron. Ethan followed, pushing her toward a narrow crack in the mountain. While a small opening, almost invisible from the outside, they squeezed inside just as the ridge gave a deep, roaring sound. Half. The path collapsed into the darkness below, taking 2 soldiers with it. The third soldier managed to grab the edge. Hanging by one hand, he looked up at Ethan with burning hatred. "This is not over," he shouted. Ethan stared back. "You're right. It's not." Then he pulled Lyra deeper into the hidden passage as the mountain shook again. They had escaped for now. But one thing was clear. The enemy was not beaten. The hunt was far from over. Asterisk. The narrow mountain passage was dark and cold. Ethan held a small emergency light from his suit, its soft glow guiding them through the tight stone corridor. Lyra kept close behind him, clutching Aaron against her chest. The baby's glow was faint, now too faint. It worried her deeply, and she moved with trembling steps. Once they were far enough inside, Ethan stopped. "Catch your breath," he said gently. "We're safe for the moment." Lyra leaned against the wall, her chest rising and falling quickly. "You saved us again," she whispered. "You risked your life again." Ethan didn't answer immediately. He was looking at Aaron with concern. The baby's little body felt too light, too cold. Ethan knew weakness when he saw it. Years in the field had taught him that. "He needs more food," Ethan said. "More heat. More rest." Lyra hugged Aaron tightly. "I know. But I have nothing left to give." Ethan sat on a rock and opened one of his last supply pouches. "Try feeding him again. It might help." Lyra nodded and took the small pouch, touching a drop to Aaron's lips. The baby sucked it weakly, and for a moment his glow flickered brighter. Lyra let out a shaky breath of relief. Ethan watched her carefully. He had been thinking ever since the soldiers mentioned defective and unfit. Something didn't add up. Something was missing in the story. "Lyra," he said slowly, "there's something you're not telling me." Lyra froze. Ethan met her eyes. "They aren't hunting you just because you're poor. They aren't hunting you just because Aaron was born weak. There has to be more." Lyra looked away, tears forming. "You will hate me if you know," she whispered. Ethan shook his head. "I've risked my life for you twice now." "I'm not here to judge you," Lyra hesitated, swallowing her fear. The truth inside her was heavy and painful. She had carried it alone for months. Now it felt like a stone crushing her throat. "Finally," she whispered, "Aaron is not fully one of my kind." Ethan blinked. "What do you mean?" Lyra closed her eyes. "His father was a human." Ethan stared at her, stunned. He felt the weight of her words hit him like a shockwave. "A human," he repeated softly. Lyra nodded slowly, tears running down her cheeks. "Months ago, during the border conflict, a human soldier crashed near my village. He was hurt. My people wanted to kill him, but I hid him. I cared for him. I saved his life." Her voice broke, "and he saved mine. He protected me for weeks. We grew close. Too close, according to my people. Then, one day, he died in a raid trying to shield me. I buried him myself." Ethan's chest tightened. He understood the pain in her voice. "I found out I was carrying Aaron 2 weeks after he died," she continued. "When my people discovered the truth, they called me a traitor, a human lover. They said a half-blood child is a curse, a shame, a sin." She hugged Aaron so tightly that he whimpered. "They wanted to take him from me before he was even born. They wanted to erase him from existence." Ethan felt anger rising inside him, not at Lyra, but at the cruelty she had faced. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he asked gently. "Because humans are dangerous to my people," she whispered. "And my people are dangerous to yours. I thought. Maybe you would think I used that soldier. Or maybe you would think Aaron is wrong." Ethan shook his head firmly. "There's nothing wrong with him. He's just a baby. And he's innocent." Lyra looked at Ethan for the first time without fear. His glow. His weakness. "It's because he is half human. My people think it makes him defective." "Not defective," Ethan said sharply. "Different." Lyra covered her mouth as more tears fell. "I am so tired of running. So tired of hiding. I just wanted him to live. But everyone says he must die. Ethan stood slowly and placed a hand on her shoulder. Not everyone. His voice was steady, warm, and full of certainty. As long as I'm alive, no one will take him from you, he said. Lyra broke down, crying softly into her baby's blanket. For the first time in months, she didn't feel alone. But peace did not last long. A distant clatter echoed through the passageway. Armor striking stone. Ethan quickly turned off his light. The tunnel went dark. Lyra covered Aaron's glow with her cloak. Shaking, the sound came again. Closer, the surviving soldier was following them. Ethan whispered, "They won't stop now. They will hunt you to the ends of this world." Lyra nodded, fear tightening her chest. "What do we do?" Ethan took a slow breath. "We fight together, and we run smart. But first," he looked at her, determination burning in his eyes, "I need you to trust me with every truth. Because the next choice we make may decide all our lives." Lyra nodded weakly. "I trust you." And deep in the darkness, a shadow moved closer. The final confrontation was coming. The tunnel grew darker as the last of the storm faded outside. Ethan moved quietly, placing one finger on his lips to signal silence. Lyra held Aaron tightly, her breathing fast and small. Like a frightened animal hiding from a predator, a faint metal echo came through the corridor's slow, steady steps. The surviving soldier was getting closer, following the trail like a hunter tracking weak prey. Ethan whispered, "We need to move deeper. There should be a way out on the other side." Lyra nodded, though fear shook her hands. She rose and followed Ethan through the twisting tunnel, her eyes darting every time Aaron made a soft cry. She kept whispering, "We're safe. Please stay quiet." But the footsteps behind them grew louder. The soldier was no longer hiding his approach. He wanted them to hear him. He wanted them to fear him. Ethan quickened his pace. "We don't have long," he said. "Stay right behind me." After several minutes, the narrow tunnel opened into a large underground cavern. Blue crystals glowed faintly from the walls, giving the place an eerie, cold light. The air smelled of minerals and moisture. "This is good," Ethan said softly. There might be another exit. But Lyra wasn't looking at the walls or the crystals. She was looking straight ahead. Her face turned pale. "Ethan," she whispered. "Look." A tall, rocky ledge rose at the far side of the cavern. And near the top was a small opening, the exit they needed. But blocking the path stood the armored soldier. His shock lance glowing, he had taken a shortcut through a different tunnel. He had been waiting. Ethan moved in front of Lyra again. "Stay back," he said firmly. The soldier stepped forward. His damaged armor sparked from the collapse on the ridge, but he still stood tall. "Steady, you cannot run anymore," he said. "Give me the child." Lyra gasped and held Aaron closer. "No, never." The soldier raised his weapon. "Then you both die." Ethan lifted his weak, multi-tool weapon. "Not happening." The soldier tilted his head. "You humans are strange creatures. Why throw away your life for someone not your own?" Ethan didn't lower his weapon. Because life matters. Because innocence matters. And because no one deserves to die just for being different. The soldier's visor flickered. "You speak of weakness as if it has value." "Maybe it does," Ethan said. "Maybe weakness is what makes people help each other." The soldier didn't understand. His species never did. He lunged lightning dash fast. Ethan tried to dodge, but the lance sliced across his shoulder, sending pain through his body. He stumbled backward but stayed on his feet. Lyra screamed, "Ethan!" "I'm fine." He shouted back. The soldier swung again. Ethan blocked with his arm, the shock sending him crashing into the cavern wall. His weapon fell from his hand. The soldier moved in for the final strike. Lyra's heart nearly stopped. No, without thinking, she stepped forward, placing herself between Ethan and the alien warrior. She spread her arms wide, Aaron tucked safely behind her body. "Kill me then," she said softly. "But you will not touch my child." The soldier paused. Her courage surprised him. "You choose death?" he asked. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was strong. "I choose to protect him. If I die doing that, then I die with pride." The soldier lifted his weapon, but Ethan pushed himself off the ground and shouted, "Enough." He grabbed a crystal shard from the wall and threw it with all his strength. The shard struck the soldier's damaged helmet. Cracking the visor, the soldier stumbled backward, blinded for a moment. Ethan leaped forward, tackling him. They rolled across the stone floor, crashing into crystal formations. Sparks flew from the soldier's armor. Ethan struck again and again, ignoring the pain in his body. The soldier swung wildly and pushed Ethan back, raising his lance for a final killing blow. A blinding flash filled the cavern. Not from armor, not from a weapon. From Aaron. The baby glowed with a bright, pure light stronger than before, stronger than anyone expected. The entire cavern lit up like a blue star. The soldier froze, confused. The energy from Aaron's glow disrupted his armor circuits. His lance flickered and shut down. Ethan didn't waste a second. He rushed forward and tackled the soldier off the ledge. The alien fell with a loud crash. His armor sparked, then went dark. Silence filled the cavern. Ethan collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. Lyra ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "You saved us." "Again," she said. "No," Ethan replied weakly. He looked at Aaron. He did. Aaron's glow faded gently, but he was still alive, breathing calmly, stronger than before. Hours later, Ethan managed to activate his backup beacon. The signal reached far enough. A human rescue shuttle arrived at sunrise, its lights cutting through the mist. Medical officers rushed out, helping Ethan, Lyra, and Aaron aboard. "You're safe now," Ethan told them as he lay on a stretcher. "There's a colony where you can live. No hunters. No cruelty. Just a chance. A real chance." Lyra placed her hand over his. "You gave us life when we had nothing," she whispered. "How can we thank you?" Ethan smiled, tired but warm. "Humans don't save others for rewards. We save them. Because it's right." As the shuttle lifted into the sky, Lyra looked down at her sleeping baby. Aaron was half human, and that made all the difference because humans, when they choose to care, can save worlds.